I did not realize that this young lady has been publishing this book for 10 years. Okay. So it's a publication that is specifically for Black teenagers. And she's been publishing this magazine for 10 years. That is amazing. Andrea Butler, welcome to the Stylists Facebook Live.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I've been watching all of your YouTube interviews. So I think it's amazing that you are out there, that you're telling people about your magazine. And what do you find to be the biggest myth about being a publisher?
That's a good question. I think that there could be two kinds of myths on either side. I think some people might think it's easier than it is. And some people might think it's too hard, like you couldn't do it at all if you're by yourself. So I kind of heard two things, like, oh, I didn't realize it was that much work. And I was explaining to one of our guest editors one time, and again, it's because part of it's because I'm an independent magazine, so I do have like probably more jobs than a publisher at Hearst might have. But I was explaining like everything I do in a day, and I, it's kind of just like old hat, I guess, to me now. I don't really think about it. And she said, "Oh, that's a lot," and I was like, "Oh, you know what? It might be." And then sometimes I talk to people who are like, "How do you even do it?" And I was thinking, you know what? I don't always think about it. I go back and think, like, I just did it, and then I've learned along the way, and it hasn't been easy at all. But I just tried it, and then here we are. But it is harder than I guess maybe even I thought it would be. Like, I knew it would be hard, but it's harder than I had in my head when I was like 20.
So I love the fact that you're going after a very niche market. I think that's amazing. A lot of people that start magazines, they just want to appeal to everybody, or it'll be a Black magazine and they want to appeal to every Black person in America. Why specifically Black teens? And how have you been able to get the attention of your market?
Well, I got the idea for Sesi when I was 17. Yes. It means sister in the Sutu language of Southern Africa. Yes. So I got the idea when I was 17 myself, like 17 years old, when I was a teen myself. And I was obsessed with magazines, and I was just laying on my bedroom floor, flipping through old issues. And I'm like, there's never anybody who looks like me on the cover except maybe once a year. And they were publishing, 12 issues a year at this point. And cause I used to read 17 YM Teen People. And on the inside, they'd have maybe like one token girl who in the beauty section or hair section, and I couldn't use the hair because she didn't have my hair type, or I couldn't use the beauty tips because she wasn't my skin tone. And I was like, it's so frustrating. And then on top of that, they didn't really speak to things that I was going through as a Black girl. So in that moment, I just had like this full sentence thought that popped in my head that said, if nothing's changed by the time I'm done with school, I'll just start one myself. And I didn't think about it again until I was about to graduate from college. I'm like, oh, I don't want to get a job yet. What do I want to do with my life? And just a thought came in my head, like, what about that magazine thing? I said, oh, yeah. So then I went to grad school to study magazines. I know it's magazines.
That's amazing. I always think, at least for the last 10 years, I always think that magazines are going under, that everything is going online. And then I hear about a wonderful publication like yours. And why are you still deciding to print versus have everything digitally?
Well, I like to quote Dr. Samir Husni, aka Mr. Magazine, when he says,
Magazine, yes.
I love him, when he says, if it's not ink on paper, not a magazine. I just love that quote. And I just feel like a magazine, a real live magazine that you hold in your hand is what it's all about. Like the paper, the feel of the paper, the smell of it, the graphics, how they are. you don't want to always scroll on a computer when you've been looking at a computer or a cell phone or any screen all day long anyway. You want to take a break and just like be, you know? And we found that our teenage readers, yeah, right? We found that we found our teenage readers actually feel the same way, because everybody's like, no, teenagers, they just scroll all day. They want to be on their phones. They're all about TikTok. That can also be true, but like, yeah, they love TikTok, so do I. But they also love reading a real magazine. So we had an issue last summer for the first time ever. We didn't have the money to print the summer issue, and I was devastated. And I just was like, everybody's just going to start canceling, and I don't even blame them. And I was like terrified. I made videos like, hey, we're still making it. It's just going to be delivered to you digitally to fulfill your subscription, and hopefully we'll be back in print by the fall. I didn't get the funding. So I did hear from some readers who hadn't seen the video, and they were like, where's the magazine? When's it coming? And I said, well, it's going to be digital only this time, and it's coming at this date, and we'll send it to you directly to your email. And they were like, that's not going to work for me. I was like, I know, same. But yeah, I know. It's all I can do right now. But we got back in print.
You're able to communicate directly to your subscribers. Like how, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because, well, I say that to say, I don't know if you know my situation. I just came out of a situation where I was laid off as the editor-in-chief because we weren't printing magazines. We could not figure out how to keep a schedule, and we had to, adhere to our advertisers and, things like that. So I guess how do you keep them, especially in a situation where you really can't print? How do you keep them as a subscriber? How do you keep them as a reader? What are you saying?
So I just made a video on Instagram, and I just told them what was up. Like, I was like, hey guys, so right now we do not have the funding to print our summer issue. There's still some time. Hopefully, if we get some donations or something, we may be able to, because that's happened before several times, but it didn't happen this time. But even if it doesn't happen, we're still going to fulfill your subscriptions. It'll just be digital only, and we plan to be back in print in time for the fall issue. So I just let them know, hopefully this is a one-time thing, and it was so far. And we were back in print for fall and in print for winter, and planning to be in print for spring. But I just sat down and talked to them, and it wasn't as bad. Yeah. And it didn't end up being as bad as I had envisioned in my head. Like, I imagined everyone was going to hate me, everyone was going to yell at me, and everyone was going to cancel. I was prepared. I just didn't want to check my emails. Like, oh God, what's going to be in there? But it didn't turn out to be that bad. It just had a few people who were like, that's not going to work. I was like, totally understand.
It never is. It never is as bad, is it? It never is.
No, it's always worse in my head.
It's really amazing. I keep saying amazing because, number one, the average publisher does not go that route of being honest and transparent. They don't. Do you find that as an independent, you mentioned earlier that you were an independent publisher, that actually gives you more freedom to do that? Yeah, probably. I don't have to answer to anybody else, so I can do whatever I want. Which I don't have to. I don't have to check with. Who does urban? He does this. He said the exact same thing. I could just do whatever I want, right?
Right.
So where do you see the magazine going? What is it that you want for the publication?
Well, I want to continue to grow the magazine. I want to be able to reach millions of readers. We have thousands right now, but I want to be able to reach millions of them. And that's been the hard thing, because there's always people who are like, I've never heard of this magazine, and I saw that you've been around for 10 years. I was like, yeah. You have a very limited budget. It's we've gone to trade shows and librarian conventions and stuff like that, like things we could do, but I haven't been able to, advertise myself, or it's just been like social media and word of mouth. So it's been a little bit slow, but we are also in Barnes & Noble and Books A Million. We've been in there since 2018. But thanks. So we try to use that as a marketing tool also. But it's, it's just a process.
It's just a process. So a lot of our, even though we only have one person on today, but when we repost this video, a lot of people that will be watching are freelance writers or their publicists that are trying to get their clients into your publication. What advice or tips would you give a writer that's interested in writing content for you? Number one, do you pay freelancers?
Yes. Yes, we pay about... Yes, we do. And so I can bring on like one person at a time every few months because my limited budget, but I'm working 3 freelance jobs right now trying to make sure I can, pay people. So we do pay like $200 an article, and because I just felt like that's what people should be paid at least. Like I wish I could pay people more, but we do that. And then so if someone wants to write for us, first I recommend them reading the magazine. So getting familiar with it. That's really important. The website, but also the print magazine, and you can check out our social media also. And I also suggest reading our writer's guidelines that are on our website to see like what we're looking for, and just that reiterates the tone and tells everyone what they need to submit in order to apply. So we ask for a resume and a query letter, pitch letter, and 3 references and clips also.
So you ask for a query letter, which is what?
Yeah, it's just like a pitch letter. Yeah.
Some type of resume or bio, just experience of what you've done before. And you mentioned 3 clips. Why the number 3?
Just at least 3. We can send more, but I just like to get a good sample of what the person's writing is like, and also 3 references, because I have run into some situations where the writing looked good, but I think it ended up being heavily edited when it was published, and so it was like more like the editor had ended up writing it.
Got it.
So so now I ask for references just to check and make sure everything is like the writer is really good, and
And I asked about publicists. Are you also inundated with publicists that are trying to get their clients on? What's the best way for a publicist to reach you?
They can just email me at editor@sesimag.com and just send me their pitch. Just don't send me a press release, because then I just delete it. Because it's just I'm like,
that's
what is this?
Advice.
Okay,
tell
great.
Tell me.
Send a pitch, not a press release, please. Like, why is this person a good fit for our magazine? Why will our readers want to read about this person instead of like a press release that just goes out to everyone? I'm just like, I don't know what to do with this.
That's a great bit of advice. Where do you see, I know right now you are really kind of feeding content that your readers want to read. How do you see yourself growing from thousands to millions? How do you envision that's going to happen?
I just feel like it's right now still going to be a slow process. Just right now, we still have to use social media. We still have to use word of mouth. That's all that the resources we really can afford right now. And the news.
Going under a larger publishing house, or you want to stay independent?
I want to stay independent.
Me too. I was thinking about the Girls United that just popped up with Essence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, of course, I thought about you, and I said they kind of target the same people. I was wondering if there's a collaboration or a partnership that is warranted. What do you think about that?
Oh no, I actually haven't thought about it because I know they're fully digital, and so I don't know because I know they're a competitor, so I don't know if that would even be something they'd be interested in, or so I haven't really thought about it actually. Honestly, I haven't thought about it. I've just been trying to like survive.
What does that look like? What does surviving look like for an independent publisher? What does that mean?
So I'm working the 3 freelance jobs, which are writing and editing jobs,
What
just
other
to
magazine?
help besides the magazine. Not other there I'm editing like psychological reports for different companies.
Oh, got
I
it.
write yeah, I write for a lawn starter, which is like post about outdoor care, pest control. Like I write all like stuff like that on the side,
That's
and
completely
then on top of
off
that, running.
topic. Right. Okay. Got it.
Right, right.
Got
So
it.
on top of that, on top of the magazine, so it's a lot to juggle. Um, and so that's the part of surviving. I've been trying to sell advertising, and we really only had one um, regular advertiser since 2018. That's been Kinky Curly. They've been advertising with us every single year and every single issue. But we need more than that. So we had 2 other advertisers in our winter issue, but it's the one-time thing. So I don't know if they'll renew or not. We're gonna see if that happens. So
Does
that's been a
that
tough
shift,
thing.
does that shift you from being a content creator to being a salesperson? How does those
Yeah,
conversations? How have you
yeah.
what
It's
have you learned about selling ads?
that is really hard, nearly impossible. That's what I've also learned that a lot of people just want things for free. When I've approached people, they've said, "Well, can't you just write about us?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's not how it works. That's not what we do. We don't just write about brands. Like,
Right.
we're telling a
Right.
story, and our writer wants to mention something that's related to the story, then fine. But we don't just write about brands. Like, that's not what a magazine does." So, so, so I've been like, okay, or so that's been like a main issue, but still trying. And I do always ask for donations as well. If we got, and this is a big number, but if we had like 1,085 people donate $5 a month, we'd be good. but that's hard to get. But that's hard to get. So, but we do ask. We do have a donation page open also, and so that's what
Got
we've
it.
been.
Who are some of the people, and this is my last question. I mean, who are some of the people, at least in regards to content creators, that you like to work with, or maybe even artists that you like to profile that it's been challenging to get to before?
Um, it hasn't really been too hard to get people to for like the covers or to feature on the inside of the magazine. I think there's been like a few years ago, I was trying to get Zendaya, but her publicist said no, and I tried to get a couple other people. I can't even. I think they've aged out by now,
Right.
but that
Right.
just didn't work out. But all in all, most people say yes, and we get publicists pitching us people for the cover all the time now, so it's not as hard. But I would like to. Oh wait, I'm blanking out on her name right now, so I don't want to say it because I can't remember her name. But there are some people in my mind that I would like to put on the cover that I haven't reached out to yet. So I just need to do that. But
Are there any
yeah, it
content
has.
creators that you're interested? Any photographers or writers that you really love? Or does it?
I don't have anyone specific. Like I'm just like really open. Like I haven't specified, or I don't have like a wish list, I guess, of people because I'm still learning people. Like I'm still meeting new photographers, and I've worked with some photographers that I had wanted to work with before and I've worked with them already. And I need to. I mean, I want to work with more. I want to work with Black people. So like Black writers, Black photographers. I really want to do that, but I don't have any specific people, so I'm just open to anyone.
Well, give me your email one more time because I'm going to pitch you some stories myself, and then hopefully some of my writers that follow Stylist Suite will as well.
It's editor at sesimag.com.
SESI-MAG.com. And what I mean, I'm just gonna be a dreamer. What advertisers would you see ideally would fit in your magazine?
Oh, I have reached out to hundreds of them, but let me say, I'll pull up the list and tell you. Let me see.
I'm thinking teenage. Would it be
just hair,
beauty,
makeup, snacks, period stuff?
Yeah.
Like period wear. Other toiletries like deodorant. Like simple things, but things that teenagers need and teenagers use. Apparel.
You're gonna have to Unilever.
Yeah, I've done. Yep, gone after them.
Okay, got you. Are they just saying it exists long enough for us to pay attention to you? What do they say?
Well, usually those big companies like Unilever, P&G, they just don't say anything. They just ignore me, which I expected.
Yeah.
And then when I've gone to smaller companies like Black-owned businesses, I unfortunately, I thought, oh, this would be great. And Kinky Curly has, and then Maya Vanna recently did, and then I think, and then a few others did one-time things over the years, but it's usually, can't you just write about us? Or that's usually the thing. Can't you just write about us? And I'm like, no, sorry. That would be an advertisement. So you would have to pay for that. And that's how we would stay alive. You would get it would be a symbiotic relationship. You'd get exposure, we get to stay alive. So exactly. It's like that. So that's just been the frustrating thing. But by the grace of God, we're still here.
I know I said that was the last question, but why do you continue to do it every day if it's so hard?
Because I really believe in the magazine, and I always get this feedback from our readers and their parents and grandparents sometimes, just saying how much they love the magazine and they're so glad that someone created it. And I just got an email the other day by someone checking on their subscription, and they were like, I just want to make sure I haven't run out because my daughter or my niece, I can't remember, but she loves your publication. I was like, oh, thank you. That always makes me feel good because sometimes I second guess a lot. Like there's been so many times where I've been like, I don't have any other thing I can do but quit because I don't have any money, and then something comes through at the last minute, which happened just in October. I was planning to shut down. I accepted it. I was planning to shut down October 31st. I had written the blog post. I made the graphic. 3 days before then, someone said, oh, I don't want that to happen. I'll advertise. I said, thank you. And then we were able to. So it's there's been 2 other times where I've been close to having to shut down, and something has come through at the very last minute, and I'm like, I could do with the less stress, but I mean, I'm gonna receive it though. So
right, it's like, God, can you bring it without the stress, without the drama?
Right, right. I tell him that all the time.
It's funny because I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta get a job, and then an assignment to come through, and I'm like, thank you, God, like thank you, right? You just gotta keep going, keep putting it out there. What is it for you that allows you to keep going? Because I know a lot of people are, especially those of us that have just been laid off, those of us that keep fighting the good fight over and over. How do you keep going? How do you keep going?
Well, I'm just gonna be honest. I cry sometimes a lot. I mean, it's just, the stress gets overwhelming. So I cry sometimes. But then I just think about why I started the magazine, all the feedback that I get, and I'm just like, and it's just the feeling inside, like, no, you're supposed to keep going. Like, this is your ministry here on this earth. Like, this is what you need to be doing. So even when it's hard, even when I'm like, is there really a point? I still, because then somebody emails me, my daughter loves your publication. And it's usually on those days when I'm second guessing, like, am I doing the right thing? Like, am I really supposed to be doing this?
Yes.
And so I take it as, I mean, I feel like everything that's happened since I was 17 years old has been leading to the magazine, and that it's just that feeling like, no, you need to keep trying. I got you. And I'll be like, okay, we'll do it. So it's hard sometimes. I'm not gonna lie, it's very hard. And I do have the days, but I think it's just the readers that I think about, and I just do it for them.
Everybody on this call, get you a subscription to this magazine because it's beautiful, and you see the hard work that this young lady is putting out to make it happen for you. So I thank you for your time. I know you got a million things to do. Thank you for putting out the magazine, and
Thank you for having me.
No, absolutely. I am a follower of you on social media, so I see the struggle and I want to support as much as I can.
Thank you so much.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Oh, of course. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm going to let you go, get back to work, and we will keep reading.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good day.